What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Paddy Muhammad recently shared his perspective on the possibility of Khamzat Chimaev competing at heavyweight, and he expressed genuine excitement at the idea. According to Muhammad, Chimaev's wrestling skills are so advanced and dominant that he could find considerable success even against larger opponents. Wrestling, Muhammad argues, is one of the great equalizers in combat sports, and Chimaev's ability to control and dictate the pace of a fight would give him a significant advantage in the heavier division. Muhammad also touched on Chimaev's current stance regarding certain potential matchups. While Chimaev has been calling out fighters like Alex Pereira, he appears hesitant to engage in a fight in specific regions, particularly in areas connected to historical or cultural tensions, such as Dagestan. Muhammad suggests that there is a clear understanding behind this caution, and it reflects a broader respect for safety and context outside the octagon. This restraint, however, does not diminish Chimaev's hunger for high-level competition, as he continues to seek out challenging matchups at the highest level. One scenario Muhammad highlighted is the potential reshuffling of division. If Pereira were to move up to light heavyweight or even to heavyweight, if Pereira chooses to leave his current weight class, this could open the door for an exciting matchup between Chimaev and another top contender like Jiri Prochazka. Muhammad predicts that such a fight would be highly entertaining, emphasizing that Chimaev's wrestling prowess could make him competitive even against naturally larger opponents. He even referenced a recent viral video demonstrating Chimaev's ability to lift someone of John Jones' caliber, underscoring just how physically dominant Chimaev can be. Muhammad admits that the future remains uncertain, as there has been no official confirmation from fighters or their camps about upcoming matchups. He also acknowledges the deeper history and connections within Khabib Nurmagomedov's team and Chimaev's circle, which could influence fight negotiations and decisions. Ultimately, Muhammad expresses excitement for whichever path Chimaev takes, whether it's facing Pereira or stepping into a higher weight class. His insights suggest that Chimaev's career trajectory could continue to be unpredictable but always compelling, and that fans can expect high-level, entertaining matchups regardless of the direction he chooses. But before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Moving on to another news. At UFC Vegas 112, Manel Kape made a statement with an impressive first-round knockout over Brennan Royal, solidifying his position as one of the top contenders in the flyweight division. Speaking this week on the Believe You Me podcast with Michael Bisping, Kape explained why he believed he has the strongest case for the next flyweight title shot against current champion Joshua Van. Kape began by acknowledging the circumstances that allowed him to showcase his skills, pointing out that the opportunity came at a pivotal moment due to injuries in the division. It was a gift to him, he said, referring to Van, who stepped in at the right time. However, Kape emphasized that beyond that, Van has not faced other top 5 opponents consistently, and Kape believes this leaves a clear path for his claim. He praised Van's performance in his previous bouts, acknowledging the champion's achievements, but he also analyzed the fights critically. Kape highlighted that in Van's matchup against Brennan Royal, statistics suggested Royal was performing strongly before being knocked out, and that while Van secured the victory, the fight did not definitively demonstrate his superiority over the entire division. Kape also addressed Van's victory over Davison Figueiredo, recognizing Van as a legitimate champion. He noted that Figueiredo made a technical mistake during their fight, which allowed Van to capitalize, but stressed that this does not diminish Van's status. He's a champion, he's legit, Kape remarked, yet he insisted that Manel Kape presents the most compelling case for the next title shot. Citing his own recent performances, Kape detailed his victories over top-level opponents, including competitors like Luke Brandon, Saitasura, and Moreno. By consistently dominating these fighters, Kape argued that he has built the strongest narrative, combining skill, momentum, and readiness for championship opportunity. He concluded confidently asserting that his recent performance speaks for itself and that no further explanation is needed. I have the best argument. I have the best story. There's no denying the way I performed. What I showed in the octagon last night confirms everything. With his combination of recent victories, technical skills, and confidence, Manel Kape has positioned himself as the most logical and deserving contender for the next flyweight title shot, and fans are eagerly awaiting UFC's next move to make this championship matchup a reality. Moving on to another news. Tyson Fury launched a fiery and unfiltered verbal attack on Anthony Joshua Joshua ahead of Joshua's upcoming boxing match against Jake Paul, delivering one of his most scathing public criticisms to date. Fury's comments came after he claimed to have seen a video of Joshua making remarks about the dangers of boxing, including statements suggesting that serious harm or even death can occur inside the ring. Fury dismissed those remarks as unnecessary and opportunistic, accusing Joshua of using extreme language to promote a fight that, in Fury's view, lacks sporting credibility. Fury mocked Joshua's age and career stage, pointing out that at 37 years old, Joshua is nearing the end of his professional run and is now preparing to face a social media personality rather than a top-tier heavyweight contender. According to Fury, Joshua's comments were an attempt to manufacture drama and sell the fight rather than a reflection of genuine competitive stakes. Continuing his tirade, Fury ridiculed Joshua for fighting what he described as a YouTuber rather than legitimate elite competition. He contrasted himself sharply with Jake Paul, emphasizing that he is a true heavyweight champion and not a smaller, inexperienced opponent. Fury went on to claim that if he were ever to face Joshua, the outcome would be decisive, asserting his dominance and dismissing Joshua as unworthy of sharing the ring with him. Fury also referenced Joshua's recent struggles, highlighting his knockout loss 15 months ago to a comparatively lesser-known opponent. He used this defeat as evidence that Joshua's aura has faded, portraying him as a fighter whose reputation no longer matches his performances. Fury even mocked the idea of suffering a similar loss himself, suggesting it would be unthinkable given his own career achievements. The rant concluded with Fury expressing open disdain for Joshua's upcoming bout, stating that he would not be surprised and would even welcome it if Jake Paul were to knock Joshua out. The comments underscored Fury's belief that Joshua's decision to take the fight reflects a decline in ambition and competitive credibility. Once again, Tyson Fury proved that, when it comes to mind games and verbal warfare, he remains one of boxing's most relentless and provocative figures, ensuring that the rivalry between Britain's two heavyweight icons continues to generate headlines even outside the ring. Moving on to another news. Tom Aspinall sparked controversy and reignited his rivalry with Ciryl Gane after posting a heated response to Gane's recent social media activity. The exchange began when Gane shared a series of photos and training videos on Instagram showing him working alongside fellow heavyweight Tai Tuivasa. In the caption, Gane noted that he still does not have a confirmed fight date or opponent, but emphasized that he remains focused on training hard heading into the holiday period. Aspinall, the interim UFC heavyweight champion, did not take kindly to the post and responded directly in the comments section. In a blunt and emotionally charged message, Aspinall clarified why no fight date has been set, revealing that he is currently not medically cleared to compete and is preparing to undergo surgery. Aspinall attributed his injury to what he described as illegal or unsportsmanlike actions during their previous encounter, specifically accusing Gane of causing the injury with his fingernails. In the now deleted comment, Aspinall wrote that the delay had nothing to do with a lack of willingness to fight, stating that he intends to return and decisively defeat Gane once he is healthy. He also accused Gane of cheating and made it clear that the animosity between them remains unresolved. The tone of the message reflected Aspinall's frustration not only with the injury itself, but with what he perceives as a lack of accountability and respect from his rival. Shortly after the comment was posted, it disappeared from Gane's Instagram page. It remains unclear whether Aspinall chose to delete the comment himself or if Gane removed or hid it. Regardless, screenshots and reports of the exchange quickly circulated across MMA social media, fueling renewed debate among fans and analysts. The incident adds another chapter to the growing tension between the two heavyweights and further complicates the already uncertain state of the UFC heavyweight division, with Aspinall sidelined due to injury and Gane continuing to trail without a confirmed opponent. Question remain about when and if the two will eventually meet again inside the octagon. For now, Aspinall's fiery response makes one thing clear: once he is medically cleared, a rematch with Ciryl Gane remains firmly at the top of his agenda, and the bad blood between them is far from settled. Moving on to another news. In a major roster shakeup, UFC President Dana White has officially removed multiple fighters from the organization's roster, sending shockwaves through the MMA community. Last night, reports surfaced confirming that several athletes have been cut, with their departure sparking discussions among fans and analysts about the criteria for maintaining a spot in the promotion. According to Tom Feely of Sherdog MMA, one of the notable releases was Merrick Boone. Boone last fought in November at UFC QR, where he suffered a loss to Denzel Freeman, leaving him with a UFC record of 0-1. While some fans were surprised by his release given the brevity of his tenure, others noted that performance and future potential often play a decisive role in these roster decisions. Yusaku Kinoita was another fighter cut from the UFC roster. With a record of 0-2 in the promotion, Kinoita has struggled to find success. Had 2 cancelled fights last year, making his release a more expected development. Many observers remarked that it was only a matter of time before the UFC made this move. Maya Borchev, a heavyweight with a UFC record of 3-1, was also removed from the roster. Borchev last competed at UFC 322 against Mattel Camo, and despite his solid record, the UFC decided to part ways, highlighting the often unpredictable nature of roster decisions at the top level. Other notable releases included Lucas Besky, who was 1-6 in the UFC, and last fought in July at UFC 318 against Ryan Spann, as well as Marcin Prachnio, a light heavyweight who held a 4-7 UFC record and last competed at UFC 318. Both releases were widely anticipated, given their extended periods of mixed results inside the octagon. Finally, Ricardo Ramos, who fought twice in 2025 and lost both bouts, was also removed from the roster. Ramos finished his UFC career with an 8-7 record. In total, 6 fighters were released from the UFC roster in this round of cuts. While some of these decisions were expected based on performance and recent fight outcomes, others raised questions among fans regarding the promotion's criteria. These moves serve as a reminder of the highly competitive nature of the UFC and the constant pressure on fighters to perform consistently at the highest level. Fans are now left to speculate on the future of these athletes and whether they may return to other promotions or work their way back to the UFC in the future. Moving on to another news. UFC has officially begun building excitement for UFC 326, revealing several high-profile matchups that are set to take place on March 7th. After a 6-week break without major fight announcements, the promotion is back in full swing, giving fans reason to anticipate a thrilling card. According to Brazilian sports journalist Lau Walker, one of the marquee fights will feature Caio Borralho taking on Rana Ditter. Borralho is making his return after a loss to Nasruddin Imavov last September, a fight in which he fell short and is eager to rebound from. Ditter, on the other hand, comes off a challenging bout against Brendan Allen, where fatigue became a significant factor late in the fight. By the start of the 5th round, Ditter's corner made the decision to throw in the towel, underscoring the grueling nature of the contest. This upcoming matchup at UFC 326 is critical for both fighters, offering Borralho an opportunity to regain momentum while allowing Ditter to prove that he can perform at the highest level despite past setbacks. Another highly anticipated fight on the card is Paulo Costa versus Bruno Fa. Costa, coming off a win against Roman Kotlov at UFC 318 in July, holds a UFC record of 7-4 heading into the bout. Bruno Fa enters the matchup with strong momentum, riding a 3-5 winning streak, including a notable victory over Marvin Vettori. The clash between these two athletes promises a dynamic and competitive bout as both fighters are known for their striking prowess and aggressive fighting styles. Adding to the excitement, Renato Moicano, who is scheduled to face Brian Ortega on the same UFC 326 card, reacted to the announcements on X, formerly Twitter, describing the event as insane. His reaction reflects the growing anticipation among fighters and fans alike, highlighting the depth and quality of matchups on the card. With multiple high-stakes fights now confirmed, UFC 326 is shaping up to be a must-watch event. From fighters seeking redemption to rising stars defending their momentum, this card has something for every MMA fan. As the March 7th date approaches, expectations are high that the event will deliver memorable performances and potentially career-defining moments for those stepping into the octagon. Moving on to another news. Arman Tsarukyan recently spoke candidly about his relationship with UFC President Dana White during a Russian press conference, making it clear that there is no tension between him and the organization. The Armenian lightweight also revealed that he has been lined up as a backup for the interim lightweight title fight at UFC 324 in January. While he is not an official backup who would weigh in and remain on standby throughout fight week, Tsarukyan explained that he is maintaining his weight and staying in peak condition so that he can step in if the UFC calls him about a week in advance. This approach highlights his professionalism and dedication, showing that he's ready to compete at the highest level while maintaining flexibility in his schedule. Tsarukyan's proactive approach comes at a time when Ilia Topuria has recently stepped away from competition, which could actually benefit Arman. Many assumed that Tsarukyan might have to sit out for the remainder of 2026 due to the depth of the the lightweight division. However, with Topuria on pause, Tsarukyan now has a potential opportunity to face the winner of Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett if Topuria's absence continues. By staying prepared, Tsarukyan is positioning himself to capitalize on this opening, keeping his career momentum intact. In the meantime, Arman is keeping himself sharp by staying active outside the UFC octagon. He is scheduled to face Bullet in a grappling match on December 30th, using the bout as a way to maintain his fitness and stay ready should the UFC call him to step into a fight on short notice. Tsarukyan also demonstrated his competitive mindset in his interactions with Justin Gaethje's camp. Out of his dislike for Paddy Pimblett, he offered to assist Gaethje in preparation for their upcoming fight. Gaethje responded diplomatically, noting that while Tsarukyan would make a great training partner, he prefers to stick with his current team and avoid bringing in someone he may potentially face in the future. Gaethje acknowledged that Tsarukyan's offer seemed motivated more by the opportunity to compete against Pimblett than a desire to help him personally, but he appreciated the gesture. Overall, Arman Tsarukyan's professionalism, readiness, and strategic approach to both training and fight opportunity reinforce his status as one of the most disciplined and forward-thinking fighters in the UFC lightweight division. Moving on to another news. Islam Makhachev recently sat down for an interview with the Russian outlet Voice of MMA, and for the first time in quite a while, it was clear that the ongoing situation involving Ilia Topuria has genuinely struck a nerve. After months of trash talk and what Makhachev perceives as repeated disrespect from Topuria, the reigning lightweight champion delivered one of his most emotionally charged interviews to date. During the conversation, Makhachev criticized Topuria harshly, using language that stood out as unusually blunt and personal compared to his normally composed demeanor. His comments immediately sparked widespread reaction across the MMA community, particularly given the polarizing discussion surrounding Topuria's ongoing legal situation. While there have been no formal charges, fans remain deeply divided, some firmly standing by the principle of innocent until proven guilty, while others has already formed strong opinions based on allegations alone. For fighters from Dagestan, Makhachev included, such matters are viewed through a different cultural and moral lens. Respect, honor, and the protection of women hold immense importance within their cultural and religious values. As a result, even allegations regardless of legal outcome can carry significant weight. This dynamic has surfaced before, most notably when members of Khabib Nurmagomedov's camp publicly condemned Conor McGregor amid past accusations, well before any official rulings were made. Makhachev made it clear that, in his view, Topuria's words and actions do not align with what he believes a true champion should represent. He dismissed Topuria's constant social media presence and verbal attack, stating that trash talk and image alone do not define greatness. Makhachev also questioned the value such a fight would add to his legacy, suggesting that defeating smaller opponents or those without proven success at lightweight does little to elevate his career. Still, Makhachev acknowledged the massive interest surrounding the matchup. He admitted that fans want the fight, that it would be a major event, and that financially it would benefit everyone involved. However, he emphasized that he does not select opponents, he fights whoever the UFC puts in front of him. If Topuria truly wants the challenge, Makhachev insists he must first prove himself at lightweight and defend properly. Until then, Makhachev remains confident that when skill replaces talk, the gap between levels will become unmistakably clear.